cannot hear Thomas in the front.
I hear him fine.
Testing 1, 2,
Hi.
3. And your mic is in front of the camera on YouTube, Thomas. The boom. Yeah. I'm just.
It's working now.
Audience
Yeah,
is still
they're
saying
saying
nothing.
they can hear the back. They can hear Mike, but not Thomas. Is what they're saying in the front chat.
Back
We hear you fine. Yep.
We hear you.
for me.
Can you guys hear him in the front? Because they're saying that they can hear me.
Yeah,
Can you guys hear him out there?
no fucking audio out of this goddamn microphone. Should be working.
Megan Bet says, Thomas, we hear you.
Their front chat says they hear you. Yep.
Good.
So now it's working.
Marcus says we hear you.
Something wrong? Not outputting. Good right now. Everything is a lot quieter than it should. Yeah, you.
All right.
1, 2. There we go. 1, 2, 1, 2. There we go. It's supposed to be an auto. All right. Breathe now.
J Cat says in and out.
I know it should be there now.
Jan says in and out.
This cuss out says fading
It
in
takes about 10 seconds from when I'm talking until they hear it. They've got it. We're good now. Finally.
Yep.
Fucking A. Oh,
Yep,
my
good to go.
God.
J Cat says good now. Yep.
I'll be right back. I got to.
I think everybody might be 10 seconds behind each other.
All that when we broadcast live, we run about, when we talk here, we're about 5 to 10 seconds until they can hear us. So when I make changes here, it takes them a little bit of time. So we're good. Oh, fuck. All right.
Breathe, Thomas, breathe.
I am breathed. I am breathed.
It's okay.
I have breath.
Okay.
Drink, Thomas, drink.
That too.
I'm in a lot of pain. My lower back is out, everybody. And now everyone's trying to help. And when it gets this and things get all kind of nerved up. Anyway, let's talk about disclosure, shall we? Where the fuck was I? Yes, well, have we entered? Okay. Clear my mind. Leave the room. Come back in. Welcome to the show, everybody. This is where I'm going to cut the final show to. We got it. Oh, my God. Yeah. One of those days. Son of a bitch. Let's get to it. You know, it happened. Have we entered the age of disclosure? Has the movie that came out that stars Lou Elizondo and 30 other people, or etc., who were there, has that moved the needle? Is it going to move the needle? Well, I take a deep breath. Let me bring Mike on and fill you in on that. Maybe not. You ran away.
No, right here.
So the age of disclosure, it came out. There's some reviews. The biggest thing that's missing, Mike, the biggest thing that's missing, we've got 2+ hours of talking heads, right?
Yes, that's right.
and no new proof.
Correct.
Narrated by Lou Elizondo.
Yeah, it's
Starring Lou
anecdotal.
Elizondo.
It's no evidence or anything classified or sensitive at all. And also the reviews on Age of Disclosure have showed that it's information that's already been public for a long time now. Nothing new.
No. I know. It's
So you're
one-
not kidding about talking heads.
Yeah. I guess we need to take a look at it. And where do I start? Oh, God, I've got so many good.
The recent public UAP hearing on November 13th, we got the same exact thing. Everything that was testified to was already public knowledge for a long time. This is giving us the same breakdown as we got at the UAP hearing.
Hey, but at least they had John Clapper come out.
Yeah.
Which
That's
isn't
true.
going to move the needle. Remember, John Clapper is a former director
Yeah.
of national intelligence who lied about Hunter's laptop.
Right.
And he's lost his
They-
national security clearance.
They had 34 interviews of people formerly in the government with knowledge of UAP. But we didn't hear anything that we haven't heard before publicly. So I don't see why you would have to pay the price of admission to hear the same information regurgitated again.
But isn't that the way things are kind of going right now? If you want to go ahead and ask questions, you get to pay your admission fee and then get to ask questions, get in line, ask questions at the end of the presentation.
Yeah. But here's the thing, especially as far as the general public is concerned. If you have to pay to hear any information, that's a credibility kill. If this was legitimate, you wouldn't be charging anything to get access to that information. You shouldn't.
I
Should be
think
completely free.
I think what we're talking about, Mike, is I'll say it, it's pay-per-play disclosure at this point. We're not bringing out scientific information. We're not bringing out information for the general public. We're bringing out information that if you want to see the full meal deal of it, pay up, buddy. Open your wallet,
but-
and give us our money.
Okay,
and then
exactly. But now, here's the frustrating part. Let's say you're stupid enough to pay, right? But when you pay and you hear the same exact thing that you heard over and over again for free, now that's going to be even more insulting. I would be pissed.
It,
If you're going to pay for something,
for
you wanna get
diehard
something you haven't
fans
heard
of
before.
for diehard fans of disclosure, they're going to love it because they're going to say, listen to all the great stuff that's being said. I got over that. We got over that years ago. Well, at least in the last year.
Yes.
We've gotten tired of the forever. Let's give you some breadcrumbs. Go figure
Right.
it out. We're going to tell you some stories about some information we can't bring forward. Is another way they can go ahead and do it. Or they can say, well, I'm going to give you some hints, but it's a matter of national security. But even, there's some great questions of answers that are going to come out of here that are going to point to, yeah, people in the White House know about this. Jay Stratton told a whole bunch of stuff. But Jay Stratton's done a bunch of good stuff, but we haven't heard it. Why?
It's classified.
No.
Can't speak about it publicly.
No. He's writing a book.
Well,
or he
that
wrote
too.
a book. And
Yeah.
it's being covered in this movie to a degree. Right?
Well, it's probably going to be promoting the upcoming book, his appearance in this documentary. I would imagine it's a marketing tour.
Yeah. Well, if we
But-
look at the picture that was taken, let me go ahead. Actually, let me save this one down here somewhere. Do it. Next. Copy image. Preview. Where are you? Preview. I got it now. There we go. Better. All right, I got a picture. I had to bring it up in a way that we could go ahead and zoom into it. We have a picture of everybody who came together at SXSW for the premiere. Now, you figure someone whose name is actually picture is on the movie poster for it. Lou Elizondo, not sure if people noticed, but if you go to the age of disclosure.com, and they've got the title card for it, Mike. Let me go ahead and bring this up
movie, documentary
here.
poster.
I'll bring it up in 1 second. Video full. Here we go. The age of disclosure. That man there, and I looked at it, I could tell by the width of the man's chest. That's Lou Elizondo. As small as he is on the screen, that's Lou on the title card of the age of disclosure. And if I have to go ahead and just do a quick little zoom in, take a picture, let's get to it and bring it up. For any shadow of a doubt, that is definitely Lou Elizondo on the title title card for the movie. So how about that? But then if we go ahead and take a look now at everyone who was at the premiere, who's missing here, Mike? It's the man in the photo, the man of the hour, the narrator of the movie. Lou wasn't there. Now, I know that Lou has a speaking engagement that he was on, but if this is the premiere of this big movie you were going to be in, wouldn't you think you'd want to be at it?
100%.
Yeah. But there's a lot of great people here. Anyone want to try and name them off for me? We got Hal Puthoff. We got Gary Nolan. We have Jay Stratton. We've got David Fravor from from the Nimitz incident. We got Admiral Gallaudet from the Haunted Show. No, he's an admiral from the military. We got Ryan Graves. We got Tim Burchett.
Chris Mellon. He was one.
Is he off to the side there somewhere? Did I miss him?
Yeah, Chris Mellon. He's at the end.
I haven't gotten to him yet. No, Mellon's not here.
Oh.
Mellon's not.
Sure,
Mellon is
sorry.
missing too. We have a cleanup in aisle 5. We're missing a Mellon. No, he's not there. Mellon is not there. But we do have on the very far left. Would you look at that? Colonel Carl Nell, formerly associated with the UAP Disclosure Fund, no longer anymore. Interesting. So majority of the cast, at least, shall we say, Mike, the most important people from the cast are here. One of those days, Alice.
Did you mention Burchett?
No, that's not.
Burchett's there.
Yes. Yeah, we got Tim Burchett. They're all there. So you got a bunch of people who were all there. Jason Sands isn't here, Mike. Oh, wait a minute. I was wrong. There he is. There's Jason Sands. No, actually, that's Jason Sands. That's
No, it's not. He's not in the movie.
Thank God.
Thank God.
Somebody got the memo.
Need a towel.
Yeah.
So, movie came out. The reviews are mixed. Some people are saying, you expect me to believe this. Some other are saying, what? Where's the proof? Guess we want proof, kind of, don't we, Mike? That'd be a good thing.
Always. Are you kidding me?
Let me.
And so far, the problem and the frustration has been we haven't gotten it, haven't seen it, not present. Oh, you could pay the price of admission, but you're not getting anything that's relevant. That's what's pissing a lot of people off.
Yeah. I would have to agree. It's one of those things to take a look at. And, oh gosh, yeah. I know. I guess they could just get Lou Elizondo on camera for 2 hours and get him to talk, and maybe they'd have similar number of sales of the movie. But because that's what everyone wants to see, they want to hear Lou. I guess Lou talked a lot about through. Let me go ahead and bring up what some people are saying over on X about this. Where is that at again? All right, let's bring it up here. Coming to us from Disclosure Party in the new documentary, The Age of Disclosure. Former Pentagon. Mike, you may want to mute when you're not talking. There we go. All right. In the new documentary, Age of Disclosure, former Pentagon official Lou Elizondo alleges that U.S. intelligence officers considered extrajudicial execution prevent him from releasing classified UFO information. Okay. Are they playing grammar with us here?
Yeah, he's claiming that they threatened to kill him to prevent UFO information
Well,
from coming out. Look,
just to be clear, extrajudicial execution is also known as extrajudicial killing, is the unlawful and deliberate killing of a person by government authorities or their agents without due process of law. These executions occur outside of any legal or judicial framework, meaning they happen without a trial, conviction, or legal sentence.
Yep. In the new documentary, he said that they threatened to kill him.
Well, if that's truly the case, bring in Pam Bondi, Attorney General. I'm sure she
who doesn't bother to look at papers from the FBI sitting on a desk for 2 weeks. That's not a good sign.
Yeah, I know.
And besides, let me ask you, have we heard Lou claim that the government threatened to kill him repeatedly publicly? No.
No.
It came out in this documentary, but before the documentary come out, has he publicly made points like this? No. He hasn't. Not on his X account, not on his YouTube account.
Yeah.
Not publicly when he was speaking. Oh, he said that he had filed complaints with the ICIG, the DODIG. We heard about that. But never did he say, oh, well, they tried to kill me.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that's coming from now. Something new part of the mystery.
Lou has stated many times that he's had death threats. We haven't heard that it was actually death threats specifically from the government, but if that was the case,
then name names, then call out which branch of the government, who made the threats. Just say it, speak it out. Let everybody know.
I'd have to agree with you completely, Mike. I'd have to agree with you completely. Yeah, now, when asked about the impact Dan Farrow wants from the movie, he said he wishes he could share more, but that he feels tremendous pressure to share what he can now, because he knows there will come a time when people will wish they knew the truth sooner. The fact that people still don't believe in non-humans is, quote, a barrier to entry for any bright young mind in our country that could be contributing on this front. In other words, getting the right information in the right hands is a matter of urgency. That's what we've heard.
Do you think it's possible that the death threats that officially came from our government could have been classified, which is why Lou can't talk about it publicly? That would be a first. Classified death threats.
Well, even Rick has brought up, Mike, about the termination clause in contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has. So we do have a video clip, though, a 23-minute video clip where you get to go ahead and roll the dice and gamble. And we're going to go ahead and play. And did I lose that too?
Wear gloves. You have already problem with this.
Okay, where did I hide that movie before I lose my mind? Oh, mind, where are you? There is a movie here somewhere. I'd like to go ahead and play it.
Extra stuff. This is.
And I am losing all on Mike. You may want to mute when you're not talking. Thank you. All right, let me just go into QuickTime really quick, and I'm just going to quit out of that, and I'm just going to reopen again. Enough. All my windows are waiting on. Oh, QuickTime player, where are you, QuickTime? There you go. Oh, here we go. I found it. We got it. Let's go ahead and play it, everybody. Okay, so this is a 23-minute question and answer session that happened after the premiere of the movie. Lots of questions, lots of answers. Let's go ahead and see what they had to go ahead and say on this one. Let's have some fun with it. Here we go.
I don't know, the first time I saw this film, I thought, how am I going to sleep tonight? I feel like you might be having a similar experience. Because, like, how are we supposed to go about the rest of our week like it's normal? I hope you talk about this film, and I can't wait to talk about it with you. Please help me bring out the director of this film, Dan Farah! Dan, this is unprecedented. You're gonna bring out your friends first?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. But first, before we bring some invite, just some folks that's want to thank.
Yes, of course.
Starting with you and South by Southwest. Thank everyone here for coming out, and hope you enjoyed it. I want to give a huge thank you to all the interview subjects who bravely participated in the film and put their trust in me. A lot of them are here today. Some of them obviously are coming up now, but had a lot of help and support behind the scenes, and I'm grateful for all of it. I want to thank my fiance, Allie Feinstein, who definitely beyond supportive and understanding what consumed our lives for 2.5 years going down the UAP rabbit hole. And I want to thank Born Ready Films, Sheriff's Center office here. She's one of the EPs. Her partner, Aaron McDonald, super supportive from the very beginning. Some key members from the production team are here that have been trying to with you daily. Just want to call out Colin Frederick is over here somewhere. So the line producer and wore a lot of hats on this film. Couldn't have done it without you, buddy. Vincent Wren, our amazing cinematographer, is here. He's over here somewhere. My brother Andrew Farah is also an EP on this journey with us. Now, I'd like to invite some of the interview subjects that are here with us. Let's see, I have a list here. So, start with Brett Fetterson, former Director of Aviation Security on the White House National Security Council. Commander David Frater, former Navy fighter. We got Dr. Gary Nolan, Stanford University School of Medicine, who is advisor to the CIA, ATIP, and the UFO Task Force on biological effects. Jay Stratton, former director of the UFO Task Force. Mike Boyle, former NASA official, member of NASA's UAP study team. Lieutenant Ryan Graves. And on behalf of Congress, Congressman Tim Burchett, who's now a member of the House Task Force on the declassification of federal secrets. And Admiral Tim Gallaudet. So before we start this Q&A, there's other people in the audience that were in the film. We only have so much room up here, so I'd love for everyone to stand up just so we can give you a round of applause. So yeah, before we start, I'm just so grateful that all these guys and everyone here and everyone who couldn't be here put their trust in me, comfortable doing this and bringing this information out to the public. Couldn't have done it without you guys, and yeah, it means the world to me. So.
All right, let's get this started. Obviously, this is unprecedented. It's groundbreaking. Thank all of you for participating in this film, and Dan for making this film for us. This is obviously something that we could talk about for hours and hours, about all the things that you learned through the process of making the film. But now that it's been shown for the first time, what do you feel like is the most surprising realization for you?
For me, I would say that despite the fact that this is clearly a very serious situation and there's tremendously high stakes and leadership from both sides or both political parties are clearly on board taking it seriously. Despite all of that, the public is largely very unaware and totally in the dark. And so my hope is that this film changes that, or at least starts the process of changing that. And yeah, that's the most surprising thing for me, when you meet very aware people who follow the news, are well read, and they're clueless to all of this. So I'd like to hope that the film will change that.
I think it will also, it just sends such good disinformation. I want to see like part 2, 3, 4 as things start to get disclosed. Jay, thank you for being here and for making so much history behind the scenes and everything. I know you helped so much in the process of making this documentary. Can you say a little bit about how it feels seeing, you know, a plan that you really like pushed into motion and all the hard work finally come to light in the public way?
Sure, on the big screen here at South by Southwest. Wow. And this is for all of you, and this is for humanity. And thanks, Dan. So, very important message, and I'm so proud to be a part of this and bringing this to you and really kind of turn it around on you, right? It's in your hands. Lots of time over the years, countless hours with Congress, with the executive branch, pushing this message forward. And what I want to say is, in those countless hours, I have given them information. I've given them not only the existence of non-human intelligence, but the address to go look to see it. And they were denied access. So, with your help, and your help, let's keep it forward.
You are, I think, the only Navy fighter pilot that I know about who seemed super chill and calm, like chasing a UFO. When you were chasing them, being that calm, is the thing that makes you feel like the most worried about this topic?
Well, I will say, you know, it's 20 years ago. We didn't have the technology then. We don't have it now. We're not going to have it 10 to 20 years from now. So that's disheartening right now. What's the worst fear is that if an adversary gets it, North Korea, China, Russia before us, because it is so game-changing and it'll basically take everything that we have today and make it obsolete.
Terrifying. We're not ready. Congressman Burchett. Burchett?
Yeah, Burchett.
All right, thank you. Thank you for correcting me. Obviously, yes. Hell yes, we're so happy that you're here. Clearly, this topic, like we've said, is a bipartisan one. Do you feel like that should help us to feel maybe a little bit optimistic about what you and your colleagues in Congress can do and that you might be successful?
Sure, but I don't trust anybody, so...
Come on, Tim, say it's a cover-up. That is your most favorite term or phrase to say.
I'm the reason we had the committee, the hearing in the House. I raised hell, and I was told I was going to be chairman up to, I think, 18 hours before, and then all of a sudden I wasn't chairman. You never see me sitting in the chairman's thing, so there's a lot of things that work in all this, and it has nothing to do with party loyalty or anything like that. It's greed, power, it's corruption, it's everything that runs from Washington, D.C. And I am one of those crazy Christians in the world. I mean, I'm a fundamentalist. I believe Jesus died on the cross for my sins, and I don't hate anybody that doesn't. But wait a minute, I'm not going to have an offering or an altar. But I just, I've said this before, and I'm going to say it one more time. Every night I go out and I take my dogs out to go to the bathroom. They go at 2 o'clock in the morning. They won't go like everybody else. And I look at those stars and I think, wow, the light from those stars left there before the time of Christ. And the vastness of God's great universe. It's more than I can comprehend. And I just, I don't fear them. I think it's just another one of God's creations. And I go to my deathbed thinking that, and I think...
Gary Nolan is just 2 spots away from him. Gary should bring his psionic people to Tim's backyard so Tim can go ahead and see the UFOs up close himself. Wouldn't that be wonderful? He's never seen anything. What a wonderful gift that would be for the man who's the most outspoken member of Congress, the House of Representatives, to bring out the truth and to call out the cover-up.
We're making this wonderful film, brother. Do not trust Washington. As we say in East Tennessee, it is crooked as a dog's leg. And polling show that more than half the people in this country think we're not alone. And guess what? Oh, NASA wants to study it. CIA wants to study it. You know what that means? More of your money. They already got it. Tell them to turn it loose. Tell them to turn it loose.
Yeah, for Mike Gold and NASA, yeah, you're not getting any more cash, buddy. You've already got enough.
For Brett Fetterson, I'm going to have to read this. You were the head of aviation security on the White House National Security Council, and you represented the Federal Aviation Administration on the government's UAP task force.
Oh, if he was part of the Biden National Security Council, he may have lost his security clearances today.
Do you feel like we are currently underestimating the safety of the flight issues that are talked about in this, and like what is actually going to, the issues for the nation's air safety around this topic?
Yeah, absolutely we are. I think history shows we underestimate quite a few things until they really kind of creep up on us, like 9/11, and then we're realizing, oh, we've missed all the signs all along. And so thanks to Dan for starting the conversation. I think, December with the drone incidents we had in New Jersey, all across the country in the last couple of years, and the fact that we've been trying, and Jay was big to pilot this, trying to get commercial pilots to acknowledge that they're seeing stuff and then report it back to the federal government. We've got a long way to go. We're still having problems with just identifying drones, but UAP should absolutely be part of that. DHS came out a long time ago with see something, say something, so if there's anything else I can say about underestimating it, it's in your hands. So if you see something or you know somebody that has it, don't be afraid. It's hard to identify things, but let the professionals take it, but make sure you pass it along. And we
pass along to the government so they make sure they bury it and cover it up and make sure nobody else knows what it is. More importantly, they will tell you what it wasn't.
Definitely need to have the government be more transparent in that ability.
Now, one of the things when I watched this, the idea that they don't use radar anymore was like, wait, what? Like, so many things in this film. For Lieutenant Ryan Graves, you've made it a personal mission to really publicize the air safety concerns that were presented. Can you talk about what you think needs to happen to actually make progress in that?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been working on this issue both with commercial pilots and military pilots since I got out. I learned in 2017 when the New York Times article came out that we saw mentioned here. I saw that as a cry for help, that there weren't the proper procedures and line of access to be able to resolve this issue. And I took it upon myself to provide a resource for pilots and others to report to. And what's very clear to me is that this is an ongoing issue for them. They have to deal with this in the course of their professional duties, and they don't have the proper tools or mitigation processes in place in order to deal with this. And so they're left out there on the front lines dealing with something that can be quite disturbing and quite powerful to people. And they essentially have to keep it to themselves without being able to share that or pass it to someone that can help resolve it. And that's what I'm working on. We need to have standardized reporting across the United States, both for military and commercial pilots as well as civilians. We need to have the proper resources behind that reporting system to be able to investigate, run down, and potentially advance the conversation about what we're seeing in the skies and provide those safety reports to pilots so that they can accommodate them and be prepared for them when they first see them. And I think this film that Dan put together is going to have a great impetus on removing the stigma that prevents a lot of those pilots from reporting as well.
Pluto's not here. Where's Hal? Here he is.
He's there! Come out! I was like, wait a second, I don't think he's here. since you have been the Yes, we're so glad that you're here. Okay, as a chief scientist at ATIP, I know you know better than anybody the breakthrough technology could be used for good or bad. And when we talked about the energy source of UAP and how it could be clean energy, but also weapons of mass destruction, you said that you would put your vote for making a humanitarian issue and opening it up to the world. Do you think that humanity can handle that responsibility?
I think so. I think, behind the scenes, when each of us are asked to be part of, say, a podcast or something, we all sort of shrank from it because it's, there'd just be too much chatter about what we did. The brilliance of what Dan Farrar did was to quietly go behind the scenes, talk to 34 people, and say, okay, if you all come out at the same time, then you won't have that stigma associated. And so that made a great step forward. So given this kind of general introduction to the topic, I think that for the scientists in the crowd, like Eric and me and so on, it opens up the opportunity that we can get more scientific collaboration. And so, part of, what I've done recently is, go before NSF and Senator Rounds and so on, and talk about opening up exploration and scientific investigation to try to come ahead. But we needed to have a more open tapestry, in the public, and so that's what I think Dan Farrar did for us. So I really appreciate it.
Can you all just take a little bit of step away from the screen for me? I know you're making my projectionist nervous. Dr. Nolan, can you speak a little bit about one of the things I had never heard anything about was the biological effects that have been seen from people who've interacted with the craft and how it's made these biological changes on human beings. What are you hoping that comes out of the public being more aware about that piece of information?
Well, I think the first part of it is that, our servicemen and women and intelligence community operatives are being put in harm's way often even though they don't even know what's being done to them. And that offends me deeply as a scientist and somebody who works in medicine regularly. I mean, it was basically how I got brought into this, was being shown the kind of data that had people who clearly were harmed. You just can't argue with it. And what was fascinating was, and this sort of gets back to the theme of stigma, when I approached some of my dearest colleagues at Stanford saying, hey, here's this data, I've been allowed to share it with you, and they asked, well, how happened? They said, well, it was UFOs. Oh my God, it was like, I'm sorry, I have something to do. But what was fascinating, though, and I think that this film is really going to help that, is this put together a consistent story told both with emotion and facts. And the facts aren't just these events happen, but here are the conclusions that we have actually dared to come to about what they are. And that's going to help me trying to convince my colleagues, both at Stanford and through, say, the Soul Foundation, the other things that we're doing, to basically feel more comfortable to come forward themselves. So this has done a great service, I think, Dan, what you've done here, not just to the community at large, but to the academics that I try to serve.
Okay, for Mike Gold, can you talk a little bit about that stigma and around everything UAP and how that's created such a big hurdle for our country most specifically, and why it's important that this is the moment to address that?
Sure. When I was on NASA's UAP independent study team, we had a number of academics. And just for participating in the UAP independent study team, these academics had their careers threatened, not even for saying that UAP was real, but just for having the temerity of even looking at the topic. How can you conduct science under those conditions, where there's such bias and such
Well, if that kind of stuff is going on at NASA, Sounds like that agency needs an enema.
And that's why we need the power of film. What Dan has done, and the heroes of this stage have enabled, is create a documentary, the power of film, South by Southwest, and putting it forward to push back on that stigma, to acknowledge the reality. We look at the power of an inconvenient truth, of what that documentary did. Well, here's a really inconvenient truth. And thanks to Dan, we're pushing back. But let this film be a call to action. As Jay was saying, let this be a catalyst now for all of you to call your members of Congress, demand transparency, demand accountability, and demand the truth on UAP.
I don't think Mike Gold got the memo or has done any research, because Congress can't accomplish anything for disclosure, can they, Mike?
No, obviously not.
Never.
No.
They've tried. They keep on trying, but it's been failing for years, isn't it? I've lost track.
Well, you heard what they were pushing the public to do at the end of that. Contact your congressman. You need to be a part of this. You could make this happen. Reach out to Representative Nancy
Jesus
Mace.
Christ, we need to bring back Lou Jimenez in the big phone home again?
Yeah, well, yeah, Nancy Mace is going to help them. No, she's not. But that's the part of the memo they didn't get.
Yeah.
That's
We're almost
the
through
problem
this.
with
We're
everything.
getting there. Got about 4 more minutes, 3.5 more minutes. Let's do it. It's enlightening so far.
For Tim Gallaudet, we've spoken a lot about, obviously, everyone was very aware of the UAP activity in the skies.
Tell us about the ghost that your daughter saw. I'd love to hear more.
But as the Navy Rear Admiral and the former Chief Oceanographer, which is the coolest job of all time, I think your expertise is more focused on the seas, and part of your testifying before Congress was about that. Can you talk a little bit about what you think should happen next with regards to that? And if you think, what is happening down there is as shocking as what's happening up here and we just don't know yet?
Well, exactly. We have observed UAP in the oceans, but the oceans, as I said, are so unexplored. If we only amp up the amount of research we're doing in the oceans, we're bound to learn more about UAP. And actually, that is what I'm making a call for right now, is that we have a large American ocean science enterprise with many ships that universities own, as well as research institutions, and they operate drones and satellites to study the ocean. I think that whole enterprise needs to get around and take seriously researching UAP, in addition to others like the space science enterprise. I think our whole American scientific enterprise needs to get behind this and take it seriously. And the one thing I've called for is I've engaged the new White House science advisor, a friend of mine, and I've asked him to put UAP research as one of the top items in the annual White House R&D priorities memo. Something the White House does every year, and when they do that, every agency has to follow it. And that's how we're going to get agencies like mine, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, as well as NASA and the DoD, to have a whole of government research approach to UAP. Now, let me just say, Dan, thank you for this, and thank you for keeping that comment in about the Super Walmart.
I love that. Dan, I'm going to pass it back to you to wrap us up. What do you want to leave us with on this one?
Well, one positive thing to report, I've been told by a few leaders in the current administration that the age of disclosure is playing a key role in their own efforts internally to disclose. So I think we can expect the film, when it's released publicly, to be part of a bigger picture of disclosure. So thank you all for being such a great first audience. If you guys enjoyed it, please go out and tell your friends and family about the documentary. Spread the word on social media. If you feel inclined, please get on Rotten Tomatoes and give us a good review. And before we leave too, there's some people that were really key to this that couldn't be here, that tried to be. I just want to drop a few names. Secretary Rubio was unbelievable and supportive behind the scenes. Senator Rounds, Senator Gillibrand, Elizondo, couldn't be here tonight. All these people helped a lot to make this happen. And everybody up here really went above and beyond, not just doing interviews, but helping me behind the scenes, guiding me, giving me the right introductions, and validating me. Jay Stratton, you're the man. So, thank you all.
go. For all the people who paid $50 to go and see it, Mike, they get to see it anywhere from 1 to 3 months faster than any of us people in the general public.
Right. I don't think we missed much. Sounds like a big nothing burger to me. I read all the reviews, so have you. There's nothing in there we haven't heard before.
Correct. It's current knowledge. It's current knowledge that's been out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's things that everybody has said before. But I guess they're gathering everything in one easy, convenient place for people to go ahead and pay and hear about it.
Yeah, and pushing Kiki Gillibrand, and we know how pro-disclosure she actually is. Didn't she stand up Arrow and pushed for it? Oh, yeah, she did. Yeah, that didn't work out too well for the general public.
Why were they just pushing? I missed it, probably. Did they mention her?
Yeah, he did. Senator Gillibrand, we want to thank her for all of her efforts. And NASA for the all-of-government approach. Well, last time I checked, you bet your boots Bill Nelson told everybody to go fuck themselves as far as disclosure is concerned in regards to NASA. So, you know, this is anybody who's not knowledgeable, I guess, sure. Sounds great.
Hey, maybe he's gone back to that open position at Amway that he left.
I don't know, but, you know, anybody that's in the know on this subject would be laughing all the way out the door, because there's nothing I heard with any of this that was worth the price of admission. Yeah. That's the problem.
They're taking the topic, they're bringing it out, they're bringing nothing
of credible evidence to support any of the claims.
Anything to the table that could push this thing forward.
Right, because if they want to convince the general public, which is who they need,
the court of public opinion, like, you know, it's like that jury pictures we brought up before when I had that idea of, my God, we need to tie this back to, you know, Law and Order.
Mm-hmm.
We have to go ahead and deal with
the court of public opinion.
The court of public opinion, yes, my friend. That if you look at an average jury, right?
Yeah.
Your average Joe citizen, that's the audience of people you have to convince.
Right. And they're pretty educated, believe it or not. If you don't have anything to back up any of the claims that you're putting out there, they're not going to buy it. And they haven't. That's the big problem with why disclosure is not a mainstream topic.
Artist.
There you go.
Yeah.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you, Mel Burks. He was ahead of his time.
Yeah, and it's something that we're looking at. You know, we can't say disclosure has happened. We can say disclosure is in progress. We have opened the door for disclosure to move forward, but it's kind of stuck at the start right now, if you ask me.
It's stuck back where it was in the Roswell Daily Record in July of 1947 when the crash occurred in New Mexico. Yeah. We haven't really moved from there to now to any great large degree. Still a question in the public's eye. It's not conclusive. So far, there hasn't been anything conclusive. A lot of anecdotes, a lot of speculation. It's all great, but there's no hard evidence. None. Just like right now with the mystery drones. The Pentagon is scratching their ass and their heads saying we don't know anything about it. But so allegedly the FAA authorized it. That's a huge disconnect within our own government. One hand doesn't know what the other one's doing.
Isn't 60 Minutes going to go ahead and cover this?
Yes.
I've got a little 30-second clip on this. Let me go ahead and play that really quick. Hold on. Where is that
please
at? Do. Oh, yeah, they're going to be covering it, my friends. Here we go. Let's play a little 60-minute clip coming to us from our friends over at 60 Minutes. Here, let's play it.
Yep.
Do you believe that these drones are
again.
Do you believe that these drones are a spying system, a spying platform?
What would a logical person conclude?
That these are spying incursions.
And yet, I can tell you, I am privy to classified briefings at the highest level. I think the Pentagon and the national security advisors are still mystified.
Do you believe that these drones are a spying system, a spying platform?
What would a logical person conclude?
That these are spying incursions.
And yet, I can tell you, I am privy to classified briefings at the highest level. I think the Pentagon and the national security advisors are still mystified.
Still mystified. Well, that I would have to say, Mike, if they're still mystified, they haven't been given the full amount of data to work from, have they?
Well, at the highest levels of classification, with complete and total access, like he just mentioned, including that of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, why is it a mystery? It shouldn't be. I agree with what he was saying, the points he was making. Whatever this is, these drones, they're obviously conducting some sort of spying, right? I agree with that. They're absolutely spying. But over restricted military airspace, nuclear facilities, why would our own government be spying on our own military assets? They wouldn't, is the logical answer.
No, they wouldn't.
That's the problem with all that. No,
unless there's people within our military, et cetera, that have information they don't want shared, then be spying on them to make sure they're not sharing said information.
Oh, please. Rick filled us in on that. The Air Force's Office of Special Investigation specifically target military personnel that are up to no good. You remember the whorehouses that they paid for near the bases to catch all of their military members from disclosing secrets? That's a typical operation that's been going on for decades. They don't need to have mystery drones doing that. Not at all.
Yeah.
So, no, it's not a simple surveillance operation that our government is conducting with drones. Doesn't make any sense. And we said that from day one when we started covering the drone flap.
Sometimes it seems like the members of our government and our agencies, et cetera, don't know their ass from a hole in the ground, do they?
Oh, well, that's true. You can say one hand doesn't know what the other one is doing. But when you get to the levels that he was talking about and high up within the government and the military, if they don't have a clue, then what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
A coup? That doesn't make any sense. Not to me.
Well, it just seems like we're governed by the office of stupid for our overall government.
That's true, too. I would agree with that.
Especially now, we're talking about UFOs. We're talking about everything. Where do UFOs go? They're in space, right?
Yeah.
They're in our air and they're under the oceans. But now China is building a massive space station at the bottom of the sea. Could herald an energy breakthrough, a deep sea exploration monitoring station a mile deep in the contested South China Sea could also cement China as a maritime powerhouse. Maybe they're looking for something else at the bottom of the ocean, Mike, just besides fish and squid and energy.
A mile under the ocean is such an inhospitable place to be. And even with our technology the way that it is today, we aren't able to do much at those depths. We're just not.
Well,
we don't have the technology for that.
We could develop it, couldn't we?
Yeah, but as far as I know, we haven't developed it yet.
But I guess that'll leave the United States behind and leave China to innovate on that front.
It could.
Yeah.
But that's spending, a lot of money without a guaranteed return. And it's something our government is not doing.
Was it 70% of the, 80% of the Earth's surface is covered in water?
Yeah.
And yet we know more about the moon and Mars than we know about our own oceans or what's down there, what's going on. They talk about all these different areas that they want to go ahead and start using these robots to go ahead and start harvesting all these minerals. But yet when they put rovers down there, it's beaming with all of this life, which means we're going to go down there and just destroy all this stuff on the hope to get some minerals.
Right. That's right. I don't know. It's
at least someone's trying to get down there. I wish it was us. I wish we had Admiral Tim Gallaudet there going ahead and leading this to get there, but no, it's the Chinese at this point. Good for them.
Right.
Let
That's
them
right.
be
Plus-
the modern day explorers, because if you ask me, NASA has not been an explorer with their shit going on Mars. They have a mission. They're going from point to point to point. And if they see something on their camera that's, oh my God, what the hell could that be? They ignore it. And these could be monumental discoveries of prior life on Mars or intelligent civilization that was on Mars. And what do? They ignore everything that's in any of the photos. They don't change their path. Chinese, I have to say it. Like when they had the moon rover up there, they were moving it around on the dark side of the moon where the United States has never yet been. And as they were moving around on there, they saw something that looked like a frickin' house, a square structure. So what did they ignore it like NASA would have? No, they didn't. They said, mission be damned. We saw something new we didn't count for. We're going to go check it out.
Right.
America has lost their ability to explore, has lost their will for innovation, it seems like, Mike.
Right. Plus, on top of that, David Grush testified publicly that there's a Cold War going on between the United States and our foreign adversaries.
And China, no, a Cold War going on between the United States and China.
Right. Well,
about
China's part of
UFO
our
crash
foreign
retrievals.
adversaries. Right. And we said this, China has put a lot more people on this than the U.S. has.
Well, even though I'm from the United States, I'm not a betting man, but if I bet your money, I put my money on betting on China right now.
Yeah, they have more resources that they put on it.
Yeah.
So
yes,
if they can get to a breakthrough,
Yellow
they'll do it
Tommy
first.
Tanker, also known as Annie in the chat, says, anyone remember the little film called The Abyss? Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. Good
Oh,
movie.
yeah. Who doesn't?
Right.
Where do the majority of the UFOs come from? They see them going out of the water, into the water. Why does the Navy see more UFOs than the Air Force? Because they're in the water all over the planet. It's simple.
Right.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. What else do we get through this? What was the one thing we were going to talk about today, Mike? There was something that was a news piece we were going to cover. We talked about it earlier today. Remember?
You talked about
It's that
yeah,
one thing we were going to talk about. What the hell was it? I hate pain.
Dan Farah and Lou. Right? We're talking about why isn't Lou
oh yeah,
promoting this?
Yeah, exactly. So the question was we got to figure out why. We got to figure out why on this. And this is a good conversation. Mike and I, I wish we could take some of these conversations behind the scenes calls that we have and have them as part of the show, because it's genius conversation sometimes, Mike, I have to say. Let me go ahead and find this and bring this up. Here we go. All right. In the picture, it had all the different people that were there for part of the premiere of the movie, The Age of Disclosure. Lou Elizondo's on the movie poster, literally.
Oh yeah.
And you had who else? And he's a narrator apparently, telling the story of what's going on. He's a very important character in this, but it's not the video called Who's Lou? It's Where's Lou? Now, I know Lou has had speaking engagements, of which they're not on the West Coast. Why in the hell, Lou, aren't you coming to the West Coast, goddammit? There's a lot of people who'd like to have you on the West Coast, unless there's some reason why you couldn't legally come to the West Coast. California, Oregon, Washington, all those states, all the blue states. Maybe that's the reason. But it is a purple state, kind of, depending on where you're at. Could be more red than blue, but either way, would be great to have him here. But he's missing. Why would he not want to attend the premiere, especially when all the particular studios are going to be there for the meet and greet, come and shake hands and say, yes, we'd love to give you all this money for this movie that you were just in. You know what I mean? Because that's why they're at SXSW. They're there to sell this bitch. They're there to go ahead and get their money back that was invested in it. Whether it goes to Netflix or a streaming or a pay-per-view or whatever it's going to go for in the end. Hopefully it gets to somewhere where you can get a big mass audience. The more people like on Netflix that can see it, the better. That'd be wonderful. But where is Lou?
Dan Farrow doesn't want Netflix. He wants the theatrical release on this. But he doesn't have a distributor yet. So we'll see.
But that's what SXSW is about. This isn't about getting a bunch of people to pay $50 a shot to go ahead and watch it in a little small theater, right? This is about
advertising, marketing.
Getting it there, having just not the fans, but the people in the studios who are there to watch it, who aren't paying, who are actually probably getting paid to be there, and then pulling them into the back room with the champagne and the toasts and all the stuff and the, the sniffing session like dogs, sniffing each other's ass.
Pretty much.
Getting to know what's going on, going ahead, trying to make a deal. What happened to Lou, Mike? Any thoughts? I mean, I have no idea. He does have speaking engagements again, but don't you think you would want to schedule them around this event, knowing when the event's going to be?
Well, yeah, you would think, but I can tell you that in the interviews that Dan Farrow has done so far, he explained that the reason he was able to do the documentary with the 34 witnesses that he interviewed, he was led to by Lou, who was narrating it, and he couldn't never have gotten in the door of any of these people without Lou's help and input the entire time. So why doesn't Lou have an executive producer credit on this film, if that's the case? And we looked the other day, he doesn't.
Nope, he doesn't. We were thinking about this, and some kind of I mean, if he's had that much of an impactful role in this, you think he's going to get some kind of good credit. We actually talked about this on Saturday's show. We'll see where it goes. But if you look at the credits for the movie, he's not listed as in the executive producers. We got Dan Farrow's name like 4 or 5 times, which is good for him.
Right, great for him. And he's publicly thanking Marco Rubio, but. You didn't hear him thank Lou.
He did.
Did he?
Yeah, he said Lou's not here. Noel Elizondo's not here as well. And then he said some stuff about Marco Rubio. I think he said Marco Rubio first. Then he might have mentioned Lou, but I think he was mentioned.
Okay, maybe. But the way that this film has been released, it doesn't look like Lou is a prominent figure, because all the interviews that Dan Farrow's done has talked about everybody else in the documentary, and the reason that he made it, even though he's not a big disclosure guy. He worked with Steven Spielberg on Ready Player One. That's his claim to fame.
Dan Farrow?
Not disclosure. Dan Farrow, yeah.
But Dan also was the producer of The Phenomenon for James Fox.
He was. You're correct.
And that was
on
probably
that.
one of James' best movies, I have to say.
It was. But that was, according to Dan Farrow, his first entry into this subject. So he's a newbie on this.
Well,
And he
Lou
put
is
2.5
in
years
this.
in.
Paul, someone says Lou doesn't need to be in everything, but Lou is in this movie.
Oh,
He's the narrator of this. They have him in parts of it, and he was a very important person with respect to it. I'm just saying, if you've got, is it safe to say this is the biggest theatrical release for Lou Elizondo so far?
Oh, I would say, yeah.
Yeah. So that's to say he doesn't need to be in anything, but if he's in this, you come together with your crew and all the other people that you help bring together to talk about this.
Yeah. Interesting points in the documentary, obviously.
Yeah.
But nothing concrete that's going to convince the general public at all
Right.
on this. They're going to need a hell of a lot more than some talking heads. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think so, Mike, but I've seen the rumors. I think you've gotten the message on that too. If you check your inbox on X, it came in as we've been having this broadcast. There's something you want to check out.
Okay, yeah, I will.
I'll let you bring it up.
1 second. Yeah, okay. Give me a second. I will pull that up.
It's about some
momentarily.
rumors that are out there with regards to this. It's amazing how when you start talking about this, people start talking behind the scenes.
Yeah. No, yeah, there are rumors out there that Dan Farah had publicly mentioned that he swore everybody to secrecy while he was making this documentary for the past 2.5 years. And as a result of that, he said it publicly. He said, I've locked everybody in on very serious NDAs. So anybody that was connected to this film in any way, shape, or form during the production until its recent release was locked into his NDAs and wasn't able to speak publicly about the disclosure topic. And the rumors are that Lou's book tour, which started while this film was in production, his hands might have been tied in coming forward for the tour, which would have resulted in some litigation behind the scenes.
So this could have been part of the NDAs that kept Lou from going on podcasts like Disclosure Tonight and other things for a while? Because if this has been in production for 2.5 years, Lou Elizondo could have, well, I'll have to say it, knowingly signed a contract that prevented him from going and speaking with stuff unless he fought to have that dismissed.
Right. He had to then deal with it behind the scenes, which is a hostile function. Because if it's a friendly function and all you have to do is speak with the other party, and you're familiar with contract law, Thomas.
Oh, gosh, yes.
All you would have to do is get them to willingly release you from some of the points that are in the non-disclosure
I have
agreement.
been through so many NDAs with big media giants, and trust me, if I had someone ring my doorbell, where's that at? Oh, hey, Lou. What, you've got a contract? You want me to check out for you? Be happy to. But wait, you got to be careful of this one, this one, this one, and this one, and this one. And you definitely don't want to sign it because of this, this, and this. If you want to do it, you want to get reciprocal coverage on these particular events and tell the people to give them the freaking middle finger on these events because there's no way, or these items, that you're never going to sign this thing. Yes, I would have been happy to have provided that kind of insight to Lou Elizondo free of charge. Doesn't matter how many great words you can look up and use in a Twitter post talking about Wikipedia. No, it comes down to the knowledge and the ability of what kind of schmuck kind of stuff goes on with contracts you get coming out of Hollywood, what you should push back from, what you should ask for a reciprocal on, and more importantly, things that you would never ever sign, and you say, if this isn't out, fuck off, and you walk out of the room. You have to do it sometime.
Right, but if you're on friendly terms with the other party and you bring an issue up, if they're looking to deal with you, they would simply let you out of certain aspects of what you agreed to.
Yes, that's correct. You have to handle it at the proper time. When I negotiated multi-title deals with Disney, I used Disney's lawyer as my own, and I knew her from when I was at Disney back in the day, and it was great. We went back and forth, talked about stuff, and I was like, okay, we know how the lawyers are. Basically your bosses. Well, how can we get through this? You know what they're not going to accept. You know what I want. Give us a path forward. You have to work with attorneys like they're your friends especially an opposing counsel, because otherwise they will make your life complete hell.
Because they know how to do it.
Right.
But my point is that if the two parties involved in the agreement are on the same side with each other, it would never end up in court. And if it does end up in court, then they're not on the same page with each
It
other.
winds up in court after the agreement has been executed, right?
Yeah.
But if you do it before the agreement is executed and agreed to, everyone's on nice, happy terms. But if you come in 2 years later and say, well, you know, these particular things in here, I don't like them, I want to get it back. And someone's going to say, oh, hold on a second. You signed this agreement. Why do you want to go ahead and change the terms now? I'm not willing to change the terms. Because once someone gets a lockdown on a contract and agreement, the last thing you want to do is crack the cask and open it up for reinterpretation down the road. And yes, Logan, see, I've worked with Disney in the past.
Yes, he has. But my point is that if you, let's say, come to the other party that you're in agreement with and say, I have a project that I need to promote, and I need to not be bound by certain parts of the agreement we entered into. At that point, if the other party tells you, well, what that project is that you have to promote, it's not my project, go fuck yourself, then that is why it would end up in court. Because now we have two people on opposing sides, which means not friendly, not on the same page anymore. That's when things get difficult.
Right, and
So
that's when you start cracking the casket and bringing in your $450 an hour lawyers to go and try and renegotiate down the road.
Right. That's right. So if these rumors are correct and there was some bad blood going on behind the scenes, that might explain and justify what we're seeing play out now in real life. Could explain a lot of the things.
Now, we did hear murmurs coming from Lou in the past that he was unable to go ahead and be on podcasts and shows and everything, potentially because of
a moratorium.
A moratorium that was there. Yeah, that was a moratorium, wasn't it? And there was a moratorium on one side, but there was also an issue that was going on with a representation agreement or something, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So he wasn't permitted to speak publicly until this was resolved behind the scenes.
Right.
Which it was. But the point about all this is that it probably wasn't on good terms, obviously.
Now, one thing. With Disney, you have to go ahead and pre-negotiate up front because Disney asks for the rights for all of your work, Mike, throughout the universe for eternity.
It's like paying taxes in California. Even after you leave the state, they still want you to continue.
They
to
want
pay
the
them.
ability, not just the rights for our planet, what we're doing. They want the rights to your work for the universe, for within the universe through eternity.
Yep.
That's the kind of stuff you go through in Disney that you have to negotiate front. Now, granted that Dan Farrow, wherever he was in here somewhere, is not trying to go ahead and get to that extent. That's why, oh yeah. And Sam Disney is like Nintendo, but Nintendo actually has the same legal firm that I used to have, Black, Lowe & Graham in Seattle. They're vicious. That's why I had them.
They're good. They know what they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, you got to be very careful. There's always a legal minefield that you have to be leery of when entering into something. You don't do it blind. That's the problem. So not everybody exercises that degree of common sense.
No, not at all. But you just you get to it through learning, through everything else. You would just hope some of the people who are going through this sometimes would have more common sense and reaching out to people who have experience to say, hey, I don't know shit about this, but I'm willing to learn. What can you tell me?
Right. That's right. That's exactly right. Before you make a commitment and you have real money in play, something is hard earned that you have on the table, before you make a decision and pull the trigger, you really need to reach out to knowledgeable people to see what they think so that you don't get burned.
No.
And
Yeah,
it's common
absolutely,
sense.
Mike. Yes, 100%.
But not everybody does that, Thomas.
It's like your life is Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And when you run into the situations when you can go ahead and phone a friend because you're not quite sure how to get through the particular situation that you're through, to get through it, you literally phone a friend and say, hey, buddy, I'm in this situation. I've got this going on. What would you do?
Right. Well, what do you know?
Yeah.
Well, what do you think? At least that, something. Otherwise, problems can occur if you don't apply due diligence. That's the point. So yeah, this whole thing with the age of disclosure, it seems to be a nothing burger that's been wrapped up in a pretty bow, and I don't think it's going to move the
The
needle.
age of disclosure, are they talking about all the people who are in the movie?
Oh, yeah.
What's the average age of the people who are disclosing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
But I
the
do
age.
have a little video clip here, changing it up actually, Ed Brown, you've had your hand up very patiently for the last 20 minutes. Ed, what say you?
Well, I'd like to make a couple comments on the attendance there. You talked
First
about
question I
Lou.
have to say before you ask us this question, are you in your recliner?
As a matter of fact, I am.
Son of a
I'm just
bitch.
relaxing. I actually did have my hand up for quite a while. Blood was all going.
Yeah,
to my
about 20
toes.
minutes though, right?
Yeah, it was something like that.
Oh, close
So,
to it. Yeah, Mike and I have been fucking gabbing. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you
Here
for
you go.
joining
For
us.
everyone's enjoyment and entertainment tonight, it's Ed Brown sitting in his recliner. I hope everybody's happy.
Oh, God,
We are.
yes. We love you, my friend.
Well, let me comment on the attendance there. You mentioned Lou. He had engagements the last 3 nights. In fact, he's got an engagement tonight. I think it's in New York, but it's all up in the Northeast. But at 8th,
Right.
9th, and 10th, which would have precluded that. And those are ticketed seats that, he's the
Right,
lead.
but this SXSW event,
Southwest.
right, has been on the books for well before those speaking events were ever put on the calendar.
Well, that may be, and I'm not trying to, debate whether he chose one over the other. But I just know for a fact he's still in New York, so that's why he wasn't there for the screening.
Well, that's fine.
But
He's
if
all
I'm
over the
there-
place. He was in Missouri lately, the Show Me State, a bunch of other places. He's been everywhere multiple times. He keeps on going up and down the East Coast and the Midwest and everything, but we keep on missing him on the West Coast. What's up with that, Ed?
Well, I can't speak to that, but let me talk about some of the other things I picked up in the number of people that were on the stage. First of all, I think this is probably going to be the most comprehensive group of UFO type people that we have ever seen in a movie. I mean, it is loaded with people. But notably absent are the other camps. Like, for example, nobody from Stephen Greer's camp was there. Nobody Stephen Bassett. And those guys, Mike, you can laugh about them, but those guys were in this thing 20 years before anybody else got in it. They've been working it for 20, 30 years. The other thing,
And I'm sure you're aware that Stephen Greer and Lou are not the best of friends.
well, that's true. I'm merely commenting on who's there and who's not there. Then we can talk about the personalities of why they were. Steve Bassett was one that surprised me. He was actually one of the first ones in this business trying to sort through this, and I didn't see Richard there.
We've had Stephen Bassett on the show before.
That's true. So
We're
there were
familiar with
some
him.
people. Yeah, Nick.
Hey,
Pope,
Mike, I have an envelope I need to open. Can we invite Stephen Bassett for that?
How about Nick Pope?
Oh, Nick Pope is the one
Nick
who comes
Pope
to
was
the
another
opening of
would
an
be a
envelope,
great
yes.
asset, but he wasn't on there either. Now, let me comment one more thing. It might not surprise you, Mike, that I would say this after some of the comments I've made the last few days, but everybody on that stage got a chance to talk except for one person. Never got to open his mouth. You know who that was?
Who?
Eric Davis. He went right past Eric when he was holding the microphone and went back to.
Really? They did
Gary Norton.
not
Yep.
allow Eric Davis to go ahead and talk? Oh, well, I guess not.
He was not He was not. He did not speak at all during that presentation.
They didn't ask
I
him.
can tell you why.
Go ahead.
Because what have you and I talked about, Thomas, privately? What is Eric Davis known for by everybody that knows him? The man is almost like he can't tell a lie. He's honest to a fault.
He's your Jiminy Cricket for disclosure. Oh my God, he is the Jiminy Cricket for disclosure, isn't he, Mike?
He could have, but a lot of people were merely making comments about the film itself, and it wasn't specifically talking about things that would have been secret. He could have spoken. I just think that the narrator did not think it was important to call on him. That's what I think.
There were no
I think
questions for the
narrator
guy.
thought that if they asked him a question and he spoke the truth, they may not like hearing what comes out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Eric Davis is known for that.
That could be. And another thing, I don't know if you all picked up on this, but Tim Burchett sure did a good job of throwing a statement of faith in his remarks.
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
He is a Christian fearing man. And if you notice, Tim Burchett only has one overcoat, and it's leather, and it's tan. He wears it everywhere.
That's his signature piece. There's no doubt about that. He wears that everywhere he goes. And I think it's because of where he comes from. He kind of wants an identity to that or something.
Hey, wait a second. I have a blue hoodie that's my same identity, so I get it.
I think that summing all this up, I think the most important thing we can say, well, first of all, the preview, I haven't seen the movie because I didn't go down to Austin for it, but the preview is
You're
impressive.
not that far away, are you?
Well, that's about 100 miles. I should have
100 miles.
Well, anyway, there were quite a few very impressive people that were on that stage and they were in that movie. And some of the people that were in that movie that weren't on the stage. I think we're all looking forward to him getting a major distributor for that and showing that in theaters, getting very good coverage. So overall, I'm going to be impressed when it comes out.
Yeah, I can't wait to
would
see
be
where the
impressed
average
if they
human
released
citizen's
something.
going to go. Mike, go ahead.
No, everybody would be impressed, Thomas, if they actually gave us something in that film we haven't seen before. That's
Well,
my point.
you may be right, but it's going to be a consolidation of a whole bunch of others. I mean, most of us in here have probably seen 10 or 15 different documentaries on disclosure, various aspects of it. This one is the most comprehensive I've seen of any of the ones that have come out. So I just
because of the people involved. No, you're right, Ed. You're not wrong about that.
Yeah,
I would agree.
We'll see. And that's the words of wisdom that I will bring you tonight from the official reclining chair of disclosure.
Yep, the Disclosure Tonight reclining chair lounge.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I wish I was in my recliner, my God. Yeah.
You will be soon enough. We're
Brian
almost at that
Pemble,
point.
your hand's been up for a while. I know you put it down, but I'm going to call on you anyway because you deserve to be called on.
Well, that's awfully nice. No, I do want to echo some of Ed's points. I thought what Hal Putoff said, that the fact that there's more than one person coming forward at once in order to avoid the stigma, I thought that was.
But here's the thing: for all the shit Hal has said in the past, he's never worried about the stigma, has he?
No,
not once.
No. But I think that's not
Jay
a bad
Stratton
game
or
plan
any of the
going
people,
forward.
David Fravor, Ryan Graves, all the people, Tim Burchett of all. No, is there anybody up on that stage?
No.
Seriously speaking, that was worried about talking about this because of the stigma, especially Gary Nolan.
Correct. Yeah, but I think it would be, and we still have yet to see who's going to come out in the movie as far as new whistleblowers, perhaps. But
there aren't any.
Yeah. But I think what would be interesting is to try and bring them out in groups as opposed to one by one by one. I thought that was an interesting point by Hal. And just as a quick aside note, going back to Lou Elizondo, I did hear he was in Georgia the night before the South by Southwest movie. And I heard that speech. And if you guys remember, Phase Will and I went and saw Lou Elizondo give one of his first talks. And nothing has changed. There was unfortunately nothing new. I listened to the audio from both of them.
You can set your watch to the points that he makes in these appearances.
But if you want to ask a question, go ahead and sign up and get in that line. You can ask a great question to Lou Elizondo for a fee.
Yeah, and what's been happening is he's got to get in and out because they're closing the theater, and so he only lets a couple questions in now, which I think is too bad. I think Lou should freshen it up a bit on each stuff.
Or he should book the theater for a longer period of time. When you're going to have an event, right? You can say how long you're going to be in there, right? And then the theater can go ahead and, based on the staffing they have, there will be a charge that goes for that venue for that period of time. Now, if they said, okay, I'm going to have an hour speech, you know, blah, 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 some stuff into it, an hour asking questions. Let's take it a total of 2.5 hours. We're going to do maybe 3 hours for the wrap of intro and exit by the time everyone will be out of the theater. That's what we're looking at. But they just need to
Well, I have a question for you,
set up the venue with a realistic amount. So, Brian, if you're talking about saying the venue is saying we need to get you out of here, right? The only reason because
correct.
Hey, when they're having music concerts, are they all wrapping up tidily at night at 10:15 p.m.? No,
never.
They'll go to 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and they'll be there on stage doing whatever they're going to do based on what they've booked with the venue.
Yeah, and I think that's a change with Lou's manager, who I got the chance to meet. I think he kind of tailed off and let his lackeys book the rest of these, and I don't think that's boding well for the question and answer session.
Okay, I just have to say the one thing that it was a line from, oh God, this was either a math teacher or English teacher back in high school. It was the line was math teacher. I can see her face. Ignorance is no excuse. So you can look at it, but you have to just be realistic and say, okay, I want to be up on the stage going for so long. I'm going to have this. I guess it just comes down to, if you're delegating stuff out, you have to delegate with authority, not just set it and forget it.
I'll make a point to both of you gentlemen about this. Let's say that you're paid a set amount of money. Do you want to put in more time for the same amount of money or less time? Simple as that. You got to do the math.
It also comes down to, what is your audience paying for, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are you selling it as? And if you don't give it what you're presenting to your audience, that's where the disparities and stuff happen. If they say, go ahead, book the date, and bring your questions. Bring your questions. That means that you're going to go ahead and have the venue, but then you're also going to be able to go ahead and present your questions, right?
Yeah, and I would completely agree with both your analysis. That's 100% right. And what happened when Phase 1 I watched was probably at least an hour of Q&A, whereas the one in Georgia, when I listened to that audio, it was 15 minutes tops. And
I didn't know you went to Georgia too, Brian.
No, I happened to get a sneak audio
Perfect, yeah.
From somebody with boots on the ground there.
Right.
So I wanted to compare and contrast what Lou's doing now. And
I know he's been in Chicago recently. He's going.
Yeah,
he's
correct.
all over the Midwest. I call Chicago the Midwest, and the East Coast. He's on like that part of the country right now. It'd be interesting just to understand where it's at, where it's going, and what fans can expect. Because basically, what you're not getting Lou Elizondo jamming on a guitar, right? Like you would pay for a regular concert. How much does it cost to go to a concert these days, Brian? $100, $200?
I don't know. I would assume it is probably somewhere in that neighborhood, but it depends who you see, I guess.
Yeah, but you're paying for the entertainment value is what it comes down to. What
the seats tonight we're running 35, 40, 45, and I think 50.
That's reasonable. That's a reasonable night out for an individual or a couple $100, whatever you're dealing with in the whole thing. It's not bad. It's very accessible by everybody. It's not like you're paying $200, $400, $1,000 to go see Taylor Swift. No, you're going to see Lou Elizondo. It's a bit of money, but it's not that bad.
Well, and the other thing, you don't know how many are booked and what his expenses are. He has said in his book that he wasn't doing this to make money. And if you looked at some of the trouble that he went through with the housing accommodations he had to go through for a while.
Oh, well, just his general life in general for what's been going on and everything else. And it's like, all I can say is thank fucking God he can do these speaking engagements and selling it out because his family needs it.
Yeah, so I wouldn't criticize. I don't think anyone ought to criticize him for doing a funded event like that.
And I was never doing that. It was just, we were talking about the venue where if you're going to have a conversation where you're going to give a set presentation that you go through for an hour, and then for an hour you're going to go ahead and have question and answers coming from the audience. You just have to communicate with the venue up front when you're booking it, saying that I'm going to be on stage dealing with this with or without the audience for 2 hours. There'll be a setup ahead of time. There'll be a clearing setup afterwards, whatever's going on, different parts in the theater. As long as maybe for after the show's over, maybe for half an hour afterwards, you'll be in the lobby area, which requires a lot less staff and everybody else, because they can lock down parts of the theater to go ahead and sign autographs and meet with the audience. Again, it's just entertain. It's you're setting up the venue for the overall agenda that you want to achieve.
Yeah, but another way he could do that, save a lot of cost, wouldn't cost him anything to travel, is to just sit down in his home studio and come on Disclosure tonight and answer all the questions that we have for it. Make it 2, 3, 4 hours, whatever it takes.
Beyond that, he is also he did a couple, 2, 3 podcasts at the start of what was going on, but that seems to have ampered down in 2025. I don't know his media plan, what he's doing, where all the different things and all these different fronts are being managed, how it's getting there, but it just comes down to he's the property. Daryl Zernick, your hand is up, my friend.
Hey, thanks, Thomas. So I guess I'll just say what I would be willing to bet some of the people in the audience are thinking. Why is it the same? It's the same 20 people we find credible to keep telling us information about disclosure. Where are the Utes? I think I put in the chat. Where are the other people? Why is it the same people? That's it. I'll take my question offline.
What do you mean?
Well, it's not. We had David Grush, who was 36 years old at the time.
Who wasn't there?
Lou is much older. No, of course he wasn't there. And Grush was coming out when he testified 2 years ago, and then fell behind the scenes into the woodwork and is not out there. So we've had people who were much younger speaking about very important things about disclosure in the government, but then that faded away. And now it's down to the same people who have been talking about this for the longest time, Daryl.
Right. Exactly. Where are all the other people? I think there's more than 20 people or 25 people involved in UFO stuff. That are credible. I'm just wondering where they all are. I mean, if you had a movie that had a few Utes, I'd be much more interested to pay the $50, I think.
Well, the $50 price of admission, Daryl, is only for the presentation at SXSW.
Right.
That's it. Anytime beyond that, it's not going to be, you're going to go, well, maybe you will go to the theater like an AMC or Lowe's or whatever's in your area. Go ahead and watch it. It'd be a tough sell. It'd be interesting to see what would happen if they brought it out for a theatrical release. But Mike, didn't you say that's what they're...
I'm just not interested in this movie. I'm just not interested because I've heard from all these people before. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's my point. It's the same talking points. It's a nothing burger, and it's nothing we haven't heard before.
Mike, it's kind of like you hear the same people that have been going around on all these different podcasts throughout time, right?
Yeah.
And they're telling the same story, but now they're on Jesse Michaels because he's a new person. He's got a big audience of people to go ahead and hear from this stuff, but it's the same material we've gotten, just in a new branded format. And that's great that it's happening, but it is opening a lot of this stuff to a lot more people.
Same message, different format. And in the grand scheme of things, you know what that boils down to?
Big money,
nothing burger.
big prizes. Yeah. You'll love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing burger.
The same shit again. And put another quarter in, play the game. Let's go and play some Smash TV, my friends. Yeah. What it's about.
And people are tired of it because it's
but hey,
over and over again.
At least there's something new being put together by Steven Spielberg, Mike.
Oh God, another nothing burger.
At least it's entertainment stuff to talk about. Let me go ahead and bring this one up here if I can. All right, so this is coming from WOW over on UFOX, tracking the movie update number 8. Spielberg is expected to be in South Jersey all week, shooting scenes for a new UFO movie starring Wyatt Russell and Emily Blunt. Let me go ahead and play this for everybody. Got a little clip coming from local news broadcast in New York.
We think that we have seen Steven Spielberg already filming right now as we speak down in South Jersey.
In Tuckahoe, to be exact. What are you saying, Greg?
Hey guys, listen, we got lights, we got cameras, and we actually got some action going on. They are actually recording some of the scenes right now. And yes, you did see Spielberg. He's been kind of off and around on the side, and at a certain point we actually saw him drinking some coffee. But I mean, this scene right here is creating a lot of buzz here in the Tuckahoe area, also in Woodbine, because they're in various locations along this railroad tracks that they've been doing this filming. We actually have a young lady that's been kind of following behind us. She's a little shy. She didn't want to go on camera, but she came out here just to witness this, and she's been kind of following this along. So it's been really, really cool to witness this, and you're seeing it live right now. And they do these movements every once in a while, and it's very quick, short movements, but that's what it takes for them to do this, film magic that ends up being movies that we love to watch. Now the filming is taking place, as you see, on the railroads, and the really exciting part is that the untitled film is being directed by the great Steven Spielberg, known for directing movies such as E.T., Jurassic Park, Saving Private Ryan, and Jaws. And even though the title of this new movie has not been disclosed, the movie is supposed to be based on UFOs and feature actress Emily Blunt from The Devil Wears Prada and actor Wyatt Russell from 22 Jump Street, which many in the area are just hoping they can get their chance to meet the legendary filmmaker and even make an appearance in the film.
There's approximately about 150 people that are part of the film crew. And not only, that they're benefiting our local municipality, but several other ones, as well as along the shore where 150 people are staying in various motels.
We've had a young lady that's been coming in consistently in the mornings to pick up, pastries and whatnot. But she's handed that over to somebody else, but they're continuing, and hey, let's continue. Yeah. So we'll see what it brings. I'm excited. I'd like to meet Mr. Spielberg if I can.
Oh, right on cue. She says she would like to meet Mr. Spielberg. Right now, Greg Gilroy says he has it on Steven Spielberg right now. And I mean, it's just really cool to see people coming on out and checking this moment out and seeing the work that's being done to put this movie together. Like I said, it's created a lot of buzz in the area. And I mean, one of the things also they were talking about is
Spielberg already filming.
That one away. Mike, interested not quite in your area, but close enough.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, Steven Spielberg
right now as we speak down.
He's been making.
But if they're doing this with movie actors from Hollywood, it sounds like a fictional movie. Not going to have anything directly to do with Disclosure. That's what it sounds like to me.
Right. I guess it depends. A lot of Steven's work has potentially been, inspired by information from behind the scenes in our UFO programs in the past. It'd be interesting to see where this one particularly goes at this point in time.
Yeah, but it sounds to me the way they're filming it, it's a fictional movie, a commercial movie he's putting out.
Well, it's not like we've got Harpo Studios or Michelle Obama going ahead and doing a movie about Betty and Barney Hill, which is supposedly in the works as well.
Yeah, but even if they had a commercial release of the Benny and Barney Hill story, it's not something we haven't heard about in the past.
I got you, but again, when's the last time you saw him covering a movie that was being shot on the streets? I haven't seen news coverage of a movie in a long time, just saying. And
you're right.
They're covering it's Spielberg and about UFOs, which we have to count as a positive for us. We have to take the small wins we get. I call this a win.
Well, you could also say, what did Spielberg do? E.T. and Close Encounters?
Well, he
You
did
could say
E.T.
that with
Close
documentaries.
Encounters. He also did Cocoon and Cocoon 2.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But, you know, even Lou had said, we've had conversations with him about that where he saw Lou, where Lou had talked about he didn't see Close Encounters until he was an adult and after what he had learned. And he was shocked about what he had seen in the representation and what was going on because it aligned with what he had learned when he was in his roles. So, which kind of takes the overall credibility of Steven Spielberg and just kind of brings it up a couple notches.
Well, at least the people that he's talked to from within the government. Yeah. Obviously. There was a letter that was put out there about people from the government reaching out to Steven Spielberg. So, yeah.
Yes. Mike, I need to give, dog needs to go in the backyard. I'm going to give you the helm. We have two people in the back with their hands up. We've got both Michael and then Daryl and anyone else who wants to ask any questions or bring anything up. This is the perfect time, my friends.
Absolutely.
Michael, go ahead.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, Mike. This new movie is a nothing burger, and I think we're all getting tired of it. Because we want something new, something we know or don't know, or something elaborated on. But as you can see, a nothing burger still has lots of room to stuff in there.
Yeah, it does. It's, for lack of a better word, it's a distraction. But that only goes so far, Michael. So, and people who are diehards who have been following this topic for some time and are knowledgeable on it, it also leads to frustration because we're not any closer to the truth than we have been the entire time, and people are really tired of hearing the same things over and over again, which I can understand.
Yeah,
nothing new.
When I saw the list of the people that were in that film, I thought, well, the last 2 or 3 documentaries had the same people. They're going to say the same thing.
Right.
Unless something new has cropped up. But so you wait, you watch the movie to find out nothing new.
No. And people at this point are more than ready to hear the truth. And with the campaign promises that we've heard, I'm running it up into the new administration who's in office right now, and they haven't followed through with one shred of any real evidence or declassification of what the government has been hiding on this topic the entire time. That's really frustrating people.
And that's the thing, is that they're using the same excuse for the JFK files, for Martin Luther King, for all these other conspiracies that, like for 9/11, they're using the same excuse. How many times can you do that and fool the people?
How many times, and people have had enough of it, Michael. That's where we're at right now. People are tired of hearing the same talking points from the same talking heads, and if that's all it's going to be, They're not interested. That's
yeah.
where
Hey,
we're at.
Michael, I've got the artwork. I'll send it to you. Good point. Yes. Nothing burger. Absolutely.
Yeah, it is. So Daryl was next.
Of course.
So I just wanted to say something. Mick has already said it, but I actually said it in my head before he did, so I just want to make that clear, Mick, that the Spielberg movie will drive more subscribers to Disclosure tonight than The Age of Disclosure, without a doubt. I'll put my money where my mouth is if anybody wants to bet on that.
What's the correlation between the new Spielberg movie that's unnamed and the Age of Disclosure documentary that's out?
The Spielberg movie will drive more interest in the UFO topic than Age of Disclosure will, 100%. You know that because people go to see Spielberg movies all over the place. People don't go to see, Ryan Graves.
Dan Farah, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, it's a fact. I'd be willing to bet you see a jump in subscribers a week after the Spielberg movie is released.
Well, it's a good point, Daryl, and I can tell you that anything that gets the public's attention, the general public, the public at large, on this topic, and that would include the mystery drones over New Jersey. When we were covering that, the general public was coming to the show that they hadn't before. We got new audience members. We got people who were following us along because this was in the mainstream media. It was in the news, and it was going on and everywhere, every day. So, yeah, you're right about that. If there's something that's going to get the public's attention, then it's going to drive the interest into, at the very least, the show. So, yeah, there should be an uptick if this movie gets everybody's attention. But we'll see.
I can foresee a title card discussing the movie. That title card is going to drive a lot of people to that particular show.
Yeah, you might be right about that. We'll see. Because when that movie does come out, eventually, there probably will be a title card.
Oh, yeah.
I would agree. What do you think, Thomas? Oh, I thought he was just here.
Oh, I was here, Mike, and I had to realize I had to step away again.
Oh,
All
okay.
those things that
my mistake
comes on suddenly when you're older.
Yes. Oh, I understand.
Oh, what a great show, Mike. What a great opportunity to hang out with friends and have a good conversation about what's going on in Disclosure and the new video that's the new filmatic presentation coming out from Dan Farah, The Age of Disclosure. There's a lot of different ways to look at the situation. I guess time will tell whether it moves the needle, but don't hold your breath.
I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Obviously. Well, we've talked about that. Right. So, yeah. I mean, if the current administration had actually disclosed something already on this, any topic to do with this, I have a feeling that the timing that Dan Farah had with the release of his documentary now.
Take it for 30 seconds, Mike. I'll be right back.
He was probably expecting that the current administration had released something to confirm to the general public that we are not alone on this planet. And since that didn't happen as it should have already, he kind of had to release this documentary without any real type of disclosure coming out from the government. So I think he's maybe a little frustrated at that, like the rest of us are, because it was talked about so much in the campaign leading up to the current administration that we should have gotten at least something with an executive order and the swipe of a pen and declassify something to do with this, that people would have finally got some sort of a confirmation once and for all, not just theory, speculation, and conjecture. And that didn't happen. So Dan Farah put all his eggs in one basket, and he didn't get it to be premiered the way he had hoped. That's what I hear behind the scenes. So it's interesting.
Yeah, it's one of those things we have to take a look at. But if you, I agree with your assessment on that completely, Mike. We've got two more people in the back with their hands up. Brian was there, and then Ed. Brian?
Yeah, just real quick. I don't want to put a doom and gloom on the entire show today, but it does look like Intel chair Tom Cotton is trying to block the RFK files.
Who is?
And that's
Tom Cotton.
Yeah, out of Arkansas, Tom Cotton. So just keep a heads up for that. I know that's
who is
slightly
paying
analogous
off Tom
to this
Cotton to
topic.
take this? I smell a rat.
Correct. Exactly right. He's always been one of the swampy creatures as well.
Yeah, he was connected with our old friend over there, Mike Turner from Ohio. Not a big shocker or surprise that he's trying to block.
No,
anything.
he's one voice. I don't think his one voice is going to outweigh Trump's.
Yeah, correct. They're just going to have to push him, and we'll see.
Or is he trying to take that and use that for his vote on the budget approval?
Yeah, so that's coming up too. So
Yeah.
we're expecting to see
And you know how
CR
these
here
swamp
pretty
creatures
soon.
work, right?
Exactly right.
Let's see if that slime ball does that.
You mean use it for political capital?
Yeah, of course.
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to see which swamp creatures pop their heads up above the grass here. And,
Yep,
and,
we've got the
and it
first
looks like
one, Tom
might
Cotton.
be the first one.
Yeah.
Correct. Yep. Anyways, I just wanted to bring that up.
Thank you.
Great show.
Appreciate that, my friend. Ed Brown, last hand up for the night.
Well, I think we proved that remote viewing does work, because I was thinking exactly the same thing that Brian was. So I think I channeled him, or he channeled me, or something. But I'm also, I don't want to sound like it's all bad news, but I'm still disappointed that we haven't heard anything yet from the administration. And, you know, we could quote back the fact that Trump had said that he would release that information on day one or day two. We kept waiting and waiting. We haven't gotten anything. We're still getting congressmen that are saying that they're getting stonewalled when they try to get people together in a skiff. It's just not looking good. And I'm beginning to wonder what it's going to take, other than the citizens coming forward, what it's going to take to get the government to actually admit it.
A landing on the 6 o'clock news from
On
UAP.
in the middle of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. That's what we need. We don't want to say we want to put it on the White House front lawn, because that would be a breach of, you know, the security of where the president lives. So bring it down on the street right in front of that. You know what I mean? It'd be perfect. It's a safe location. It's on the public side of the fence. Well, we could put them on the inside, but
Yeah. Yep. But that would lead to open hostilities at that point.
oh yeah. Then again, you know where that leads, Mike? I want to go ahead and thank. Well, we got a super chat in tonight from Don Fitzpatrick for $3. Thank you very much, Donna. We appreciate that. Hopefully you've all had a good time here on Disclosure Tonight. This is a great time. If you haven't subscribed yet to Disclosure Tonight, what the heck you waiting for? We'd love to have you as a regular here on Disclosure Tonight, my friends. And if you had a good time hanging out with us tonight, give us a thumbs up, at least in the comments below, because that helps us, helps everybody get this, our channel and the shows that we do here, share with more people. I'd love to have you as a subscriber if you haven't been one, my friends. Also, then, on that note, I also want to go ahead and thank Mike. Thanks for coming out tonight, my friend.
Oh, I wouldn't have missed it for anything. It was a great conversation. We covered a lot of topics, and we gave the roundup for today of what's been going on in the news.
Yeah. Absolutely, Mike. And I also want to go ahead and thank Brian for all your contributions and topics you brought up tonight. Very, very prevalent, and it's great to have you back around tonight.
Absolutely. Great to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. Let's go next to Daryl Zernick. Thanks for your thoughts and comments tonight.
Thanks, Thomas. Always a great show.
Absolutely. Let's move on to Ed Brown. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for your comments.
Great show tonight. Thanks to you and Mike for being here tonight with us.
Absolutely, but wouldn't believe it, my friends. And sorry to my friends in the back as I stress out. I've been starting new meds, and it helps with Adderall different parts of the day, but then as it starts to fade, it makes things a bit more difficult. My God, what a technical frickin' snafu. Thanks for coming out today. I'd appreciate it. Also want to thank Laura. Thanks for coming out.
Always here, Thomas. Thanks.
You better believe it. Mr. Nothing Burger. No, I'm just joking. Michael Suckloff, thanks for coming out.
You are welcome, Thomas.
And Mike, back to you, my friend. Great show.
Oh, are you kidding me? It was a fun show, even with the snaffles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we always have fun.
Oh, so I've learned.
Yeah.
Oh, I've yeah. As we usually say, Mike, at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight, eyes open, no fear, be safe, everybody, but...
Go back to Party City where you belong.
Absolutely. We'll catch you on the flip side. Good night, everybody. I'll come back now here. Take care. Bye-bye.